with HIV. And she was talking about sex and sexuality, raising some of the issues that people had said were going to be controversial at the conference. And without sort of wading into too much of that controversy, I was very pleased by what I saw as a very authentic and very African, very centred in the region and this part of the world, discussion of how to look at questions. She made a great remark about sex is not just creation, it is recreation. And from a theological point of view, she was addressing some of the questions about how you address this. And I must admit, and I'm going to say things which may end up being misinterpreted, but I was frankly a bit irritated by some of my colleagues from elsewhere who came here expecting to see oppression in action, expecting to see men who have sex with men or sex workers sidelined from discussions in the conference. Now that's actually not what I saw. I saw a very strong presence by those key populations and a very strong engagement, an authentic engagement by them in discussing the world that they wanted to create. And I think one of the traps we can fall into is that we kind of think that there's just one view about, how we have to think about sexuality and sexual liberality, and that view is something that sort of gets determined in North America or Europe or wherever. Now, I was involved many years ago as a young person in Australia, 35 years ago, in some of those discussions that young people in Australia and not quite so young people had about how we viewed sexual futures for Australia. I did that there. I'm not going to stand up here and say how young Zimbabweans today negotiate those questions and work through those questions. But I'm very confident that young Zimbabweans are seizing that agenda and are working that through in an authentic way. So as I say, I was sometimes a bit irritated by the sense in which people were having an inauthentic positioning around some of those debates and not necessarily listening to and hearing properly the authentic and real discussions which happened in Zimbabwe about it. And then the last thing to say in terms of the sort of more scientific part of the agenda, I